Hello everyone, this is Gary Nicholson here for sailingweather.co.uk, the sailing weather information service, and weatherweb.net with your latest sailing outlook for the weekend and into the first week of January. Just starting off with Friday first of all, this front will have cleared away from the southeast early in the morning, so a few bits and pieces of rain around the southeastern corner of the English Channel at first, but this clearing away and most places dry and bright across the south of England and the Irish Sea too. Frequent showers moving into the Western Isles of Scotland, also across the Northern Isles too, these heavy with some hail and some thunder mixed in as well. High pressure building in briefly, but short-lived as an area of low pressure is spreading in quickly from the south overnight into Saturday. Your wind speeds for Friday are strongest at first in the southeast of England. Here could be around a force 5 or a 6 for a time in the morning, but decreasing from the west as the day goes on, typically northwesterlies down towards a force 3 or lower later on in the day from the west. Elsewhere though, the winds are that bit stronger across the Irish Sea, typically as west or northwesterlies at around a force 5 or 6, strongest towards the north, and quite typically near to a force 7 as a westerly across northeastern England, and nearer to a force 7 or an 8 across northern Scotland. There's a situation at midnight, low pressure moving into the southwestern approaches, winds increasing from the southwest as well. And by midday on Saturday, low pressure centred towards the eastern side of England. A wet day then across the English Channel, and particularly during the morning, and gradually, maybe by the afternoon, that rain just becoming a bit more confined to eastern areas, becoming patchier for western parts of the English Channel. For the Irish Sea, starting off with some rain in the morning, but this clearing away and brightening up with some sunny spells coming through later on in the day. A few showers for western Scotland, but even here brightening up as well. Bits and pieces of rain too left around for the eastern side of England, but it's most of the south and the east that stays wettest into Saturday afternoon. Here's the situation then with the winds early on Saturday morning. You've got a south to southwesterly across the Channel. Could be starting off as a force 4 in the far east, but fairly quickly becoming a southwesterly at force 7 or a force 8 from the west. This soon spreading to all areas, so any short-lived lull in the winds becoming quite a bit stronger through the morning, increasing from the west. Elsewhere, light variable winds in the Irish Sea, gradually through the morning coming round to more of a northwesterly and increasing to a force 5 or higher. Typically for eastern parts of England, around a westerly at a force 5 or a force 6 for a time in the southwest or the southeastern corner of England, that bit lighter as the area of low pressure moves through mid-morning. For Scotland, typically a west or west-northwesterly at around a force 5 to a force 6 in exposure in the west and the north. As that low moves through into Saturday afternoon, then the wind veering round to a northwesterly or a north-northwesterly even in the English Channel, and quite typically staying as a force 6. A bit later in the day though, easing away to a force 5, and later on in the afternoon maybe even as force 3 in the far eastern side of the Channel. Elsewhere, northwesterlies in the Irish Sea around a force 4 to a force 5, I think strongest mid-afternoon before then again easing away from the west. Northeastern areas of England and Scotland as well, typically a northwesterly and likely to stay at a force 6 across these eastern counties, may just ease away later on in the day. High pressure is in charge for Sunday, so a fair day for most areas with decent spells of sunshine and just a bit more cloud filling in from the west as the day goes on. Most places, light winds for Sunday then. We've got light variable winds across the south, becoming a southerly, starting off at around a force 2, but gradually increasing through the day from the west to a force 3 or maybe a force 4 in the western side of the English Channel. The Irish Sea maybe just getting near to a force 5, again the wind from the south here as the day goes on, gradually just picking up, starting off nearer to a force 3 or a 4. For the western side of Ireland, western Scotland, here the wind from the south as well, and gradually increasing through the day towards force 5, perhaps even force 6 later on in the day. High pressure is still in charge by Monday, away towards the south-east a little bit more though, so more of a southwesterly flow getting in, more cloud around these western coasts as we go through the day on Monday, bits and pieces of patchy drizzle through the Irish Sea, just into the western side of the English Channel as well, but most places are dry, best of any sunshine out towards the east. For Monday, the wind still broadly coming up from the south for all areas. Across the eastern side of the English Channel, typically a force 3, nearer to a force 4 in central areas, and nearer a force 5 in the west. The Irish Sea, similarly, forces 5 or 6, strongest offshore. And it's out towards the western side of Britain and Ireland, quite a bit stronger, again, always from the south, and those speeds nearer to force 7 or higher in some spots out towards the west. By Tuesday, low pressure is just swinging through with a front moving across these western regions, the Irish Sea and western Scotland, looking like being wet with some outbreaks of rain. Rain in the western side of the English Channel, but largely eastern areas staying drier and brighter, but most places with more cloud around during the day, maybe bits and pieces of rain just getting further eastwards as the day goes on. Now, some difficulty in the exact details by Tuesday, but it looks like eastern areas wind coming up from the south at around a force 4 at first. Gradually, though, later, as the low and the trough moves through, turning around to a northwesterly, perhaps a westerly in more western regions of the English Channel, and the risk of increasing to a force 7 in the southwestern areas. Across the more northern areas of Britain, across Scotland, we've got westerlies at around a force 6, locally a force 5 where you are in shelter. Some spots in the Irish Sea for a time could become very light and variable, but equally could increase quite a bit as that next front moves through. And generally looks like the later part of next week becoming increasingly unsettled, periods of wind and rain spreading in off the Atlantic, quite mobile west to southwesterly pattern with frequent strong winds getting towards force 6 or 7, at times higher than that, so really one to be aware of later on next week, things becoming increasingly stormy, particularly northern Britain, but also those strong winds extending towards the south as well. That's your latest outlook for now though. Thank you for watching this latest video, and bye for now.